The developers behind Synapse Chronicles have just had their Steam page and Patreon taken down by a crypto scammer. So there's actually ongoing litigation in the indie space right now between the Synapse Chronicles team and Joseph Gurman from SSR Wives. I went through and read the lawsuit, and the conclusion is probably not what a lot of you are expecting that clicked on this video, but let's just read everything and we'll get to it as it comes, okay? Emergency. Synapse Chronicles Steam page taken down by convicted criminal Joseph Victor Nathan Gurman. Joseph Gurman, a CFTC-sanctioned crypto scammer and AI scammer, lied about a Florida court order from a separate case to falsely DMCA strike the Steam page and Patreon page of an indie game he does not own. Gurman does not own Synapse Chronicles. He has no copyright, no assignment, no paperwork, nothing. We are fighting him for another unrelated indie game in court right now. This is DMCA lawfare against indie developers. Our legal team is working with Steam and Patreon right now to restore the game. The DMCA process should not be used as a bad faith harassment tool to suppress an independently developed game. And this is their image that they used here. Indie game taken down by convicted criminal in an orange jumpsuit. False DMCA tags. The false DMCA notice claims that Synapse Chronicles is using stolen assets and code from SSR Wives, an unrelated different indie game. Gurman/XYZ AI claims to be the owner of SSR Wives, which is under dispute in court right now. We'll come back to that. Synapse Chronicles is not derived from SSR Wives. It does not share source code, assets, characters, narrative elements, gameplay systems, or gameplay genre with SSR Wives. Nowhere in any court document or order does it claim that Synapse Chronicles is using stolen code or assets from SSR Wives. Synapse Chronicles is a third-person action/adventure game. SSR Wives is a fixed-camera tank control survivor horror game. Synapse Chronicles is a high-fidelity rendering game. SSR Wives is an intentionally low-fidelity PSX-style rendering game. Synapse Chronicles is fully owned by Corpus Work LLC, my new indie game company. All IP and assets are assigned to the new company and fully certified as such. We have a copyright pending with a USCO. Gurman is lying to Steam. Stick with me here. I just want to establish both sides of the aisle here. Background information. Gurman defrauded his co-founder, our co-developer, Simon Dickerman, out of his 50% ownership in their company XYZ AI Inc. Simon is the reason I signed on to work with XYZ AI Inc. and is himself an impassioned, talented developer who is writing the rendering feature for Synapse Chronicles. When SSR Wives was transferred to XYZ AI, it was represented to me and everyone that Simon and Gurman are 50-50 co-founders. Simon wrote all the code for the core company products and was involved in every administrative decision. Gurman and Simon's 50-50 ownership was always acted upon, and it was put to writing in October of 2025 via what Gurman called the Founder Split Agreement. Gurman clearly laid out Simon's ownership in the company, payment, and right to SSR Wives IP over message attached below. Simon executed this formal agreement by sharing access to all digital infrastructure for XYZ with Gurman after Gurman sent the agreement to his lawyer to be formalized. Days later, Gurman used that new account access to lock Simon and the rest of us out of everything and sent a separation notice demanding Simon waive his ownership in the company and the indie game and the Founder Split Agreement in exchange for $250,000. This isn't entirely accurate. This is, so when was this, in October? Yeah, in October, he actually fired Simon. This wasn't just locking him out. This was a severance agreement for $250,000. From October 13th to like the 16th, he was firing this whole group of people from the company because of an alleged coup, but we'll get to that in a sec. We gotta read the rest of ProTag's claims here. Since the founder lockout and financial theft in October, Gurman has been on a pathetic rampage against Simon and I and our friends and co-devs. The evidence is clear as day that Gurman and Simon are co-founders of their company XYZ AI worth millions. Gurman himself claimed that the IP to SSR Wives is in fact Simon's, who was in the process of transferring it to me before the founder lockout in October. Gurman's history of criminal activity is well documented. CFTC sanctioned him for fraud involving dozens of cryptocurrency investors in 2021. Gurman was Nick Fuentes' right-hand man and chief of staff at the time, often called Assistant Groyper. Gurman led many crypto schemes after a CFTC order that banned him from crypto, including Mint Money NFT, one of the first NFT projects to be named by the Texas State Securities Board in a ruling against NFT fraud. And this is actually true. The CFTC did call out Gurman by name. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission announced today that it has issued an order filing and settling charges against Joseph Gurman of Florida and J Squared LLC, a Florida limited liability company, for making misleading statements or omitting material facts in connection with soliciting more than $300,000 from over 40 individuals to invest in digital assets. So the claim of being a crypto scammer is founded. I mean, that's factual. We got that. Us and our lawyers have been actively working with the CFTC and other law enforcement agencies to bring justice against Gurman Gurman's fraud. Gurman will not be able to get away with fraud against independent developers, business partners, or gamers. Synapse Chronicles will be restored to Steam and Patreon soon and will be released by the end of 2026. This will not slow down our development, and we will not let this criminal stand in the way of gamers who want to play our new game. More gameplay features and updates will be coming soon, and a full vertical slice demo will release on Steam this summer. Also, they put up a Ko-fi because their Patreon was taken down, which was their main source of income for the game. I saw this originally because this was sent to me. Someone was like, okay, this is a good story. You should talk about this. And you see this, it's very bombastic with the mugshot, convicted criminal, false DMCAs. I can relate to false DMCAs as a YouTuber. We hate that shit. So off the bat, I'm like, all right, let's see what the fuck's going on here. This sounds insane. This guy's a proven scammer. Let's look it up. So there's two other articles. I'm going to link all of the evidence that I have for this case in the description so you guys can look for it yourself. But there's two articles from Niche Gamer that show the development of everything falling out here. There's SSR Wives drama back in 2025 of November, where Protag, who just made that post, that giant post, made a giant statement about the legal battle for SSR Wives. The game's lead developer Protag released a statement explaining his side of events, wherein he accuses Joseph Gurman of firing the core team to replace them with cheap foreign labor and silence the original team with litigation. Protag goes on to say that he is still in possession of the content, code, and much of the artwork for the game. My art and new outside technology has not been fully incorporated into the source game yet, let alone the actual content for the main game. It's all still my sole proprietorship. So in response to that, Joseph has been posting an agreement where they transferred over the intellectual property to him because he offered to bankroll the company and all the employees because they were running out of money to develop this game. And that's how he was able to acquire all of the asset rights, the intellectual property, all that good shit. He's also the founder of Stealth GPT, which is an AI chatbot that markets itself as a writing tool that can fool readers. Keep that in mind because that's going to be kind of important. So his initial response to all of the disgruntled employees was this statement that I had to use the Wayback Machine to find because it was deleted. Long story short, the original studio owners willingly sold their game to us and agreed to stay on as employees to finish the game. During this time, they were all paid salaries and had no complaints about the arrangement. All the contracts are in order and there were no doubts about their intentions. Since then, they have decided to renege on their agreement, claiming that the contract was never legitimate despite us signing in good faith. They will never tell you this because despite it being true, it reveals them for what they are. We didn't want a public spat that would damage the image of the game, but they didn't care and started one anyways. This will all be settled in court. So Protag claims that the SSR Wives copyright is being litigated on right now. I don't know what case that is, but it's not this case. You go right here to the official copyright public records lookup. I was able to get this registration code from the lawsuit itself. SSR Wives, the registration number, and we have the copyright claimant here, which is XYZ AI Inc. And you go to the PDF for the certificate. The registration was decided on as of February 13, 2026. Author XYZ AI Inc., which is Joseph's company, copyright claimant XYZ AI Inc. So the current copyright holder of SSR Wives is not the company that Protag works for. It is the company owned by Joseph Gurman, or Gurman, however the fuck you say his name. Now, I understand that that could be under debate whether the claims are, rightful or valid, but as far as the official copyright public records, it does belong to Joseph Gurman. We're going to get to the legal documents in a second, but there was another article posted by Niche Gamer. SSR Wives investor threatens legal action against original creator. An investor who took over the SSR Wives project has threatened legal action against the game's original creator and anyone supporting them. Defenders of the original creator maintain that of course the art style will be similar if the artist is the same. Some artists may appear iconic in franchises, but it's like Yoshitaka Amano's artwork may be associated with Final Fantasy. It's not as if Square Enix owns his unique style. But that's dependent on contracts. Like, you obviously can't use the exact same style in all your projects. If you have an exclusivity agreement with a company, they can actually do stuff like that. It's like how the voice actor for SpongeBob, he voice acted in some other shit, and they were like, nah, you can't do that. You can't use your voice in other places. This article doesn't really go that in depth. It just mentions how he fired those employees and he also runs an AI company and is a scammer. Here's what confused me about this whole thing, because at first I was sold on Sin Chronicles' side. I was like, oh, fuck this guy. He's a proven scammer. I hate false DMCA. But then you start reading the court documents, right? He gives an update, which is a motion for preliminary injunctive relief that was actually granted by the court. And if you don't believe this guy because he has a history of fraud, that's fine. I totally get that. It's on the official fucking website. I don't know how to say this for Pinellas County, Florida. The documents, you can just click. You don't even have to pay for them, dude. Like, this is just public knowledge. This is a voice memo that was transcribed for the lawsuit from Caleb Workman, one of the people that got fired, where there's a few points that are highlighted here. By the way, Joe is Joseph Gurman, if you couldn't tell. He wants to control everything, and he wants to be everyone's sun in the sky, their god. Like, at this point, it probably is better to actually just sell and wash our hands of Joe and then start something new. And how do we force that? Well, what we do is, basically this contract is signed. If it is absolute and there are no loopholes, we go on strike, and what we do is we say, Joe, basically all of our resources are directed towards trying to sell the company. While that is happening, we will work to make this sale as beneficial as possible, but if you don't do this, we are going on strike. You cannot fire us, and you cannot hire any new people. So basically, that is like Joe's worst case scenario, where it's either, okay, I sell, which is what they want, or we sit here and decline even more. So that is probably, you know, if you want to push a sale and rid ourselves of Joe. And like, oh yeah, no, I am just absolutely reneging on this deal. Like, dude, you were a fat inaudible, and I fucking hate you. I might even do the shit that was like code red. In this voice memo, he's admitting to reneging on the deal that they made for the IP. Oh, actually, we're all going on strike. None of us are working. Simon and I are calling it Operation Lazy Nick. Look, dude, it's all right here. You guys can just look up this case yourself. I will give you the link to this in the description. Click on here, and we have all the filings. If we go down to May 29th, we have the order granting. They granted the injunctive relief. Let's go to the last page here. Accordingly, the public interest supports entry of the injunction. The court finds that the plaintiff has met its burden on element 4. Accordingly, it is ordered and adjudged. The plaintiff's injunction motion is granted. The defendants, their officers, agents, servants, employees, and attorneys, and all persons acting in active concert or participation with them are hereby prohibited from engaging in the following conduct as defined as prohibited conduct in the injunction motion. Continuing to use the SSR IP to develop, launch, or promote SSR Wives. Using the SSR IP to develop any derivative game based upon or related to SSR Wives. Misappropriating SSR IP or any other property belonging to the plaintiff, modifying or altering any SSR IP or other property of the plaintiff in their possession, disclosing, proliferating, or disseminating the SSR IP or any other intellectual property owned by the plaintiff to any other individual or entity, representing to third parties or the public that they are the owners of the SSR IP, which they have been doing for months. And it seems like they're still doing here, where they're like, oh, he doesn't really own it. That wasn't like a legal agreement. Like, they're not supposed to be posting shit like this. Gurman/XYZAI claims to be the owner of SSR Wives, which is under dispute in court right now. This is what I'm confused about. Like, where's the dispute? In the court case, they're literally saying this is valid and legal under federal law. In this court case. So what do they mean when they're saying that it's being disputed? Where? The only ones disputing it are them. And a court just ordered that they can't do that. Because when they make those arguments, the assumption is that they are the rightful owners of the intellectual property when they signed over a legally valid agreement. And there's evidence like the voice memo where they tried to renege on the deal. And it's said in these documents too, but Dickerman, Simon Dickerman, he used information that he gained from working with Joseph to make his own rival AI company called Stealth fucking AI.io or some shit, and then released private secrets about the company that violated his NDA to a rival company. So like, these guys are just fucked. Like, legally, they're just fucked. A lot of the way that their information is being presented is not very truthful. They're violating NDAs. They admitted under oath that they still had like all of the source code on their computer when they were supposed to relinquish all things related to SSR Wives, the art, the computers and shit that they got while working on it, the source code, technology, all of that was supposed to go back to Joseph so they could finish working on the game, and they did none of it. He also was able to convince the courts that someone was trying to hack into his business accounts for like months, infiltrating or exploiting online accounts and systems owned by the plaintiff, relating to its various business endeavors, including but not limited to Aaron, AI Detect, Rapid Resume, and Stealth GPT, or attempting to do the same, and contacting current employees or investors of the plaintiff. Oh yeah, that's another thing. They went to some of his current employees' houses and dropped off some letters saying, do the right thing, which in this case would probably be leaving his company, which under the agreements that they all signed, they're not allowed to solicit any of his employees within a certain duration, like a year after leaving the company, and that could be considered soliciting them to quit, negatively impact his business. Like, a lot of the shit that they're doing is just like bro, you signed a contract. You can't just do this with no punishment. The defendants are ordered to promptly return to the plaintiff all of the plaintiff's confidential, proprietary, and trade secret information in their possession, custody, or control within 10 days of the entry of this order. The defendants are ordered to immediately preserve and submit to forensic imaging all devices, media, or accounts in their possession or control that contain or may contain any SSR, IP, or other confidential information belonging to the plaintiff within 20 days from entry of this order. This was on the 29th, by the way. The defendants are ordered to promptly return to the plaintiff all XYZ equipment within 10 days from entry of this order. So the Apple Mac Air that he got, monitor that he got, some other fucking office supplies that they were using that they didn't return. And he had all of the Amazon receipts for that in the exhibits as well. Again, you guys can see all of this information. You don't have to pay for it. You just click on it and you can read the whole read through this whole fucking thing and tell me that these guys are in the right here. The defendants are ordered to provide the plaintiff with a complete list of any persons or entities with whom they have shared the plaintiff's confidential information, with the exception of authorized plaintiff personnel in connection with the defendant's prior employment with the plaintiff, within 10 days from the entry of this order. I'm imagining they haven't done any of this shit. Done and ordered at St. Petersburg, Pinellas County, Florida. It's a fucking signed, done deal. So they're using the angle that this guy is a piece of shit, that he is on record with the CFTC? Yeah, the CFTC. They're using the fact that he's been called out by DC for scamming to distract from the public legal case that shows that they're reneging on contracts that they signed because they weren't happy with what was going on. They wanted to oust Joseph from the company, despite agreeing to it in the first place because they didn't have enough money to pay all their employees. Then they go around lying that they own the IP when it's copyrighted under Joseph. Dickerman is releasing trade secrets to rival companies and then creates his own rival company, which is clearly going to cause some problems. And they admitted under oath that they have all the source code and shit on their computer when they were supposed to relinquish all of it to Joseph. So, like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? I will genuinely be surprised if these guys and their lawyers are able to get their Steam page and their Patreon back up, because all of the legal documentation is pointing towards them being in the wrong. Your boss being a piece of shit scammer and a groiper is not excuse enough to ignore contracts that you signed, court orders, try to infringe on his business and fuck with his employees by sending them letters, give trade secrets out. Like, you can't just do whatever you want just because he's a bad guy. They really thought they could just sign legal documents and then orchestrate a coup. He finds out about the coup through memos and text messages, fires all of them, then blames him for firing them and steal all the assets and never give them back. Like, sure, they're probably not 100% the same game, but if you sign a non-compete clause and try to fuck over your boss and then not return any of this shit and then make a game that has a similar looking pro tag, like, no pun intended, what are you expecting, dog? Of course he's gonna come after you. He's fucking pissed, and you left him with all the money from the past company, so he's gonna sue you. That's it for today, guys. Moral of the story, don't sign over the intellectual property to a crypto scammer and then expect to orchestrate a coup and create a new game that completely goes against all of the contracts that you signed. And it's a slap in the face to everyone's intelligence to be like, oh, we're a small indie company getting false DMCA'd, when you're actively losing a court case for injunctive relief because of the bullshit that you pulled at your last company. This is not two completely unrelated things just happening to a new game. You quit that game, started making a game with a pro tag that look a little similar, and now you're getting fucked for it. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Why can't you be more like CoffeeZilla, Tech?
Well, I'm not CoffeeZilla, okay?
Well, you're
he's
defending
a piece of shit.
scammer.
I
You
said
should be
he's a piece of
exposing
shit.
him.
Okay, I didn't say that he didn't scam.
Okay,
but if he's in the right and he's winning a court case, you're gonna argue with the judge?
So if a court says it, you're just gonna believe it.
Literally ordered it. They
I don't
fucking
care.
lost.
These are indie developers.
They fucking lost.
Dude,
If Maxwell heard this shit, he'd beat your fucking
man,
ass, dude.
I don't like
This
it
is why I
any
fuck
more
with
than you guys.
CoffeeZilla.
Yeah, I'm
heavily.
with Robert on this.
He's
I
all
think
that.
Maxwell
He's all that.
will
Many
look
fake
at
shit
this
right now.
all
Why are you
right.
slapping
I
at
think you're
the
being a
fakes?
little
Why
bitch
aren't you
right
exposing
now.
scammers?
You're always siding
You're
with the
just
big
defending
man.
him,
You're
dude.
always
That's all you
punching
do.
down.
That's all you do
Why
is
are you
fight
always
with the big
punching
guy. You
down?
fight for
I can't win
Israel.
with you guys.